of the lies. Who you gonna call when you get on the line? Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Yeah! GLOBEBUSTERS! 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 If there ain't no curve, there ain't no ball. The globe religion's about to fall. We're gonna open your eyes so you can see who you gonna call if you wanna be free. GLOBEBUSTERS! 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 Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Yeah! GLOBEBUSTERS! GLOBEBUSTERS! GLOBEBUSTERS!
And welcome everybody to GLOBEBUSTERS. We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of GLOBEBUSTERS Tech. Today, we were going to be talking about sonoluminescence, among a couple other things. Hank, settle it down. Thank you. Sorry about that. And sonoluminescence, we've brought it up before on a couple shows just briefly and said we'd talk about it in later shows. So today is the show for sonoluminescence. But before we do that, we're going to say hello to the panel. Starting off, we're going to say hello to Miss Karen B. Karen, how was it? How was the 10th anniversary of the Clues? I was there listening.
9th anniversary.
9th anniversary.
But it was great. It was fun. We had fun.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Got a lot of good comments about that show.
There's some great history being discussed there. Like, yeah, when it comes to knowing flat Earth history, like kind of from the beginning, Mark is up there. He knows his stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Awesome sauce. Besides that, how's Ted coming along with the chicken coop?
He's coming along. He's almost done.
Awesome.
He's
I'm going to come over and help him move it.
I was going to say, he's almost ready to ask for help.
Oh, he's already hit me up. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm aware. Awesome. And next up, we have Mrs. Cammie Nodell. Cammie, how are you doing today?
I am doing good today. I'm here. It's another day. It's another week. It's a great topic. Light from sound and from waves. And so again, I'm excited to go forward in it, but it has been a good week. And Karen, we had the watch party. You started with the house you were over before, and then a lot of people were over here. It was a wonderful watch party. It was a fun show to watch. And I wound up rewatching it again the next day just because of the fact that the watch party and getting, from room to room.
Right.
And then the Roku I have to get used to because the Strange World I was like watching in bed, and you're talking about the sidereal time and the stars and doing all this, and I'm like calling it all out, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, my phone's plugged in the other room. I'd have to hit the search thing and on the keyboard, and I wanted to chat, and it's like, but my phone was dead. It was like crazy, but it was a great show, and you cover so much and do so much on those. So fun week, fun.
All right. And last but not least, Mr. Kyle Adams. Kyle, how was your week, sir?
It was fantastic. Like, I got to tell you about last night first. So, I was just laying in bed, and my wife was talking to my daughter in the next room. Her room is kind of adjacent to mine. And as I'm lying awake in bed, I'm listening to my 5-year-old daughter in her cute little baby girl voice. She kind of goes up to her mom and says, "Mom, if the stars are suns, why don't they hurt your eyes when you see them? and my wife is like, well, that's a good question. And then she turns to my mom, or she turns to my wife and says, it's because space is fake, mommy. Space is fake. I'm like, yeah. No problem for me whatsoever on that. I was just like, couldn't be more happy with that. And yeah, I was like, yeah, that's a way to make my day. And just kind of yelled at her from the next room, you go, girl. I love you. Yeah, it was cute. And yeah, I could sit her down and talk to her about the inverse square law of light, but I was too proud to do that. It's like we can talk about that on a different day. But
Yeah, she's got
it'll
plenty of
come
time
up.
for that. Yeah.
It'll come
Yeah,
up as school goes on. Because like
Yeah.
you see they weave that globe into everything, man.
Mhm.
yeah,
You're just like, oh, come on.
They
Like a whole
do,
se-
but
like a whole section of the science book could just be ripped out.
for real, for real. Yeah,
But
But-
even at 5 years old, I mean, if you don't do the inverse square law, if you just like sit there and say that it went from this big to this small in 8
Mhm.
minutes, and what would it, again, just start thinking in reality on what. So you can still, without inverse square, even blow it on the visuals. I think in just like, again, the 8 light minutes, what happens in our reality. So what is our 400 light years away? What is it really?
yeah. So I've got to share with you. I don't know if you can see this. Can you see this?
No?
I'm seeing. It looks like you're sharing our.
Oh, wrong. Let me try that again.
Yeah, the StreamYard page.
Screen. Present.
Yeah, and it wasn't a bad week for me. Did have to change the name of Africa. Fortnite will not let me use the word Africa, even though I've said, I'm using this to describe the continent. It's a map of the continent of Africa. And they will not let me use the word Africa. So Cammie, in all her brilliance and genius, came up with FE Safari. I was trying to think of something for Safari. So now we're going to change all of them. We got FE Outback for Australia already. Going to do FE Amazon. I still need to change that one. And we have FE. What did I say? What's the one you came up with?
Well, there's Safari
Oh, FE Safari. Yeah. FE
and
Safari.
Outback.
Outback. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're still thinking of one for North America, though.
Oh.
Yeah, like FE Frontier, maybe, or.
Oh yeah. That's good. FE Frontier.
Yeah, it's gonna have
And
to
then
be
South
something like
America?
that. FE Amazon.
Amazon, right? Is that what you
Yeah.
said?
So
FE
yeah,
Jungle.
It's a jungle out there. It is a jungle out there. It was funny. I knew I was creating a monster with it, but he got rejected so many times, and he's using the logic by it. And when he actually would chat with people, they're like, "You're right, but the Autobots and everything, it's too big of a
Yeah, it
system
would get
to-"
approved time and time again, and then all of a sudden I'd wake up in the morning and I'd have 4 emails that all 4 maps have been rejected again. It's like, okay, I'm done. I'm done arguing with you all. I'm done. No. And then Cammie said, yeah, just name it this one, and yeah, that's perfect.
It's like,
All right,
find
Kyle.
something. You're right, but yeah, how hard to win Africa? Keep going, Kyle.
Can you see this common ground box yet?
Yes, we can. There
All
you
right,
go.
perfect. Okay, so I've been talking a lot about degrees of latitude lately, doing a big study on that so I can get all ready for my next chapter and Modern Earth Science Destroyed. And yeah, there's been a lot of really interesting stuff that's come up ever since I've been doing this whole study for quite some time now. But anyways, you'll notice here in this little meme from anti-flat earthers, they'll point to this and say, okay, well, it makes degrees of latitude, they make sense on the globe, but they don't make any sense on the flat earth. But I disagree with that entirely, because on the flat earth, refraction is a thing. And so that it's going to affect where we see Polaris. And so on the globe, Polaris is the thing that determines latitude, your degree of latitude. And so on the top of the globe, 90 degrees is where you see Polaris. And then every degree kind of going down to the equator just the angle at which you see Polaris, that is your degree of latitude on the globe, right? And so with that, okay, you've got 90 degrees at the North Pole, and on the equinox, it's going to form parallel lines, I guess, with the sun here. Okay, you've got a 90-degree angle here and a 90-degree angle here with the North Pole on the equinox. And okay, so on a globe, the sun is not in line with the Tropic of Cancer on the summer solstice. Something has to move. You've got it's got to form the 90-degree angle with the Tropic of Cancer here during the summer. And in the winter solstice, you get the opposite. It's the sun's way down here, and you see the sun forming that 90-degree angle with the Tropic of Capricorn on the globe. Okay, and this whole movement of the apparent sun, the apparent position of the sun, that's what causes the analemma on the globe, and yeah, and that's also what kind of causes the tilt of the Earth is caused by this. Whenever you hear the globe earthers refer to the tilt of the Earth, they're talking about the angle of the sun and where it hits the Earth, right? Am I going too fast?
No.
Okay.
I gotcha.
All right. So this is a really, really big deal right here. Okay. So here we've got a 90-degree angle on the two different equinoxes. The equinox is where the sun forms that 90-degree angle with the equator. Okay. So you've got two different equinoxes during the year. And so here's the first equinox, and you get this 90-degree angle with the globe and Polaris over here, and then you get this. Okay, and right here you're getting a 90-degree angle with the axial plane. I think that's what it's called. So I'm forgetting the term for it. If you're to slice the Earth in half on the equator, that's what it would be, and that'd form the 90-degree angle with the equator there. So you get a 90-degree angle here, you get a 90-degree angle here, 90-degree angle here, here, and here. Okay, you get a lot of them, right? And so if you've got 90-degree angles across all of that, there is no triangle. Okay, and so that's putting Polaris off to infinity. Okay, there should be no reason we should ever see Polaris on a globe if it's
the one way they get around that is they say, well, it's not 90, it's 89 point, or 89 degrees, 55 minutes, and so many seconds.
Yeah.
So then after 244 1,000 light years, or whatever they say it is, 244 light years away, then it finally comes together. Yeah, it's nonsense. I agree with you. It is total nonsense, but that's their little escape is, it's just off by, that
they just
teeny tiny amount.
So
like
far
0.5
away.
degrees or something like that. And they're claiming that there's this actual wobble with Polaris in the sky, and by like 0.5 degrees. And
well,
and
it does kind of make a tiny little circle if
Yeah,
you do a time
I've
lapse.
captured it.
Okay.
I've done star time lapses, okay, and Polaris does make a very, very tight little circle, probably like what they're talking about, like it's probably half a degree wide or something, but you can see it when you do a time lapse. So Polaris is not it's not perfectly still, but it does move the least amount.
Yeah, it's very, very close. Yeah.
Okay.
Hence
It has the tightest circle.
The name is actually Stella Polaris, which, if you go and look at that up in Latin, it means the pole star. So their whole claim that, when he named it, it was, way over here, 27 degrees off its precession path, back the other way, which would put other stars much closer to the pole at that time. So why would he name Polaris the pole star if it was not the closest star to the pole? It makes zero sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
What They messed up, in my opinion. They messed up on that one where they should have in science had they thought it, if I think they had to do it over again, they would have just said that our axial tilt changed along with it. And there was some type of attractor changing it because, again, they really screwed themselves in so many different ways with Polaris and, again, the tightness and having the wobble and having it that, again, wherever we are, we have that same tightness and wobble. And you see things when you put them at far distance in a tiny point, keeping it aligned gets more and more difficult, not less. Which is why they have to move it out again, not only for the things to align in that so unimaginably far that you're like, well, you don't understand how it works at 400 light years or 440 light years, because it doesn't make sense. But yeah, I would again with the wobble and that I think that they put that in place before when they got more of the types and the wobbles and the different things we're doing, because to have us wobbling, spinning, and doing everything we're doing and have it keep that alignment that if you keep your camera on one place on the ground pointed there, it's always there.
So the next thing I was pointing out is kind of this tilt is caused by something moving closer and closer towards Polaris or farther away from Polaris. It's either got to be the sun moving closer to Polaris or farther away, or the Earth. And kind of going with this whole thing here with the heliocentric model, they claim that it's the Earth that's moving towards Polaris and farther away from Polaris on the globe model. And so I was kind of like looking at that, and it's really funny when the globe model claims that the seasons have nothing to do with the distance from the Earth to the sun, nothing to do with that at all. And so when I look at this, I kind of come to this big conclusion that what they're telling me is that it has more to do with the Earth's distance to Polaris than it does to the Earth's distance to the sun.
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah. It has more to do with the Earth's distance to the Polaris causing the tilt. That's what the whole claim is. Okay, the Earth coming closer to Polaris or farther away from Polaris. That is what's causing the seasons rather than the distance to the sun. So yeah, I don't know. That's just kind of some crazy stuff that just been kind of on my mind. And I was thinking that a little while back, I was thinking that that's another talking point. Sorry. But I was thinking about how that would work with 90 degrees. Okay, if you get 90 degrees here, you get 90 degrees here. How does this work on the orbital plane? You get the orbital plane here. Something's got to give. But as I started thinking it through, for some reason it works when I can see it this way. With if I were to see an Earth in front of the sun and then the Earth behind the sun, kind of this works, but this doesn't work, which I don't know, it was kind of a mind boggler for me. And so, yeah, so I'm still
It's
kind
one
of
those perspective things. Yeah,
it's a weird thing that it was messing with me for a little while there thinking about that. But okay, on the topic of latitude, okay, on the globe, they claim that each of the different degrees of latitude are evenly spaced. Okay, they're all the same distance apart. Okay, the angle at which you see Polaris ends up gradually changing over the same amount of distance. And so I started thinking about lasers and how if a laser is going in a straight line, then that would work. But if a laser gets refracted, wouldn't that change the amount of distance that it covers? And so, yeah, I don't know. I'm still mulling this one over, but I wanted to hear your guys' opinions on that. Like, when it comes to refraction, would that change the equal distancing when it comes to degrees of latitude? would it start to get smaller and smaller the farther away you get?
That's an interesting question. I'm thinking about it right now. Now, even, well, geez, even on a flat Earth, it would get smaller, wouldn't it?
I should think so. Yeah. And
What
that's
are you
it kind
talking
of goes
about?
both ways, because the refraction is a claim that both
What is?
the
I
globe.
don't understand. I don't understand what you're asking. What does this laser have to do with the lines of latitude?
Okay, so this was just kind of example of refraction, and so when the light from Polaris enters into the atmosphere, it ends up getting bent. We have atmospheric refraction, and so it doesn't travel in this perfectly straight line, and so because of the non-straight lines, I should think that the degrees of latitude are going to end up condensing over time or expanding depending on the refraction rate. But yeah, because
Yeah, you would have to
downward
make,
refraction is limiting your range of vision.
so where is Polaris then? I mean, are we talking in the globe model or the flat Earth model? I mean, because
Well, refraction is a thing that is in both models, but it's much, much more prevalent in the flat Earth model than it is in the globe Earth model. Like
Why do
all
you
the globe
say that?
Earthers, I don't know, everyone draws straight lines on the globe model, and they just kind of ignore refraction for the most part. But with the flat
But
Earth
then
model,
they also tell you that the sun is refracting on the horizon.
they do. And that's the one time that they will acknowledge refraction. But all the other times they always show straight lines, which is just totally ridiculous.
yeah, I think for actual refraction to take place, like, I think it would be much more prevalent on a globe if you were going from a zero vacuum and then through all these different layers of atmosphere at an angle.
Uh-huh.
Then yeah, it could get crazy. But on a flat Earth, I mean, how high up is Polaris on flat Earth really? Is
I
it
make no claims.
70,000, 80,000? I mean, yeah, exactly. We don't know. So we can't really even speculate
don't
how
know.
much refraction would affect it because we don't know where it's at. It could be
Yeah.
right up there at 60,000 feet.
Is it a projection or is it real? I mean, is it really there? Or are you seeing a
Yeah. Is it
projected light?
solid? Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. So my big claim
And the
is
latitude lines, the one thing about it, though, Kyle, is when you're climbing on the latitude lines, because you can go up and down over land, at least the 69 miles is consistent. I see where, and in fact, I was looking over, that's one of the things I'm looking is where it's really, really easy to hide longitude. And the way that we measure longitude and time, that's an easy one. The latitude is a consistent, longitude is inconsistent. And if you had, again, areas in the ocean very easily could be different distances, the way they do it. But the latitude, you have it going up and down pretty much, consistently over land, and you can measure it at 69 miles inconsistently.
yeah, and so that's kind of one of the questions I was wondering about was, is there any roads out there that follows a strict line of latitude that just goes straight up north and south for like a significant distance? Because like small amounts of distance, it can get like, we need like a full degree or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think you're
A
going to
full
find
degree north to south, because yeah, there's so much room for assumption in the matter.
You know how hard
right?
that would be to build, to like start
Yeah.
off straight and know where north is from where you're at, like perfectly, to draw
Yeah.
a 69-mile straight line. And then you
That's
got to think about,
really difficult over land. Land is just kind of crazy like that, and so because there's always obstacles with land, like so it seems.
rivers and hills and valleys
Yeah.
and mountains and yeah.
But with water, that's where it gets slippery because there's currents and other things that kind of take place.
How do you measure it?
Yeah, exactly. How do you measure over water? And so and that's kind of one of the big topics that I am kind of sitting on right now when it comes to longitude, is they always pull out the 69 miles inconsistently. And so my big claim is that the degrees of latitude are going to chip system, right? You end up dragging a line, and you measure the knots in the line that you're dragging, and that you use the knots to tell how fast you're going. But it's kind of like running on a treadmill, right? You can be running really fast, and like just because you're moving your feet really fast, that doesn't mean you're actually going anywhere, right? Because and so water can be like a treadmill, as in you can be pulling a whole lot of knots, but not actually be going anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's one of my big claims against longitude right there, in the way you measure that. And the funny thing is with maps, how much have they really changed like throughout the years as we've made all these kinds of advances when it comes to cartography, right? But the lines of latitude and longitude, when have they ever changed those?
Well, I just saw. I think this is why one of the reasons why they're not trying and putting forth an effort at all to really fully chart the ocean floor,
Yeah.
because it wouldn't all fit.
Uh-huh.
If they actually went out there, and I think they're at, like, I heard a guy say recently, he works for NOAA, they're at like 10%. Now, what are you really doing? I mean, all you're doing is going over a spot and shooting sonar down. How much money are you putting towards trying to do this? Seems a lot more important to me than trying to get to Mars or something like that, to
Yeah.
actually know what's in the ocean. They're finding all kinds of stuff
Yeah.
while they're doing it too. So
And with that, I just look at the oceans on Google Maps, and it's like literally the most covered up, secretive place. Why do the oceans get more privacy than all of the continents, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're looking at all kinds of aerial photography when it comes to the United States, but the moment you get into the ocean, now you've got absolute privacy for the most part.
Yeah, it's weird. There's no real good Google map of the ocean, really. There's around land parts that they want you to know about, yeah, but when you look at the normal ocean, it's that fake floor that they put on there.
Yeah. And that's another huge gem that I've just had in my pocket forever that I've just kind of been waiting for to share. And that is that it is illegal to make a map independently of China, in the country of China. And so
Wow.
the Google Maps, they actually have to like skew it. They alter the maps with China, and I've got this great big video about it. I'm not sure if we can share that here or not. So yeah, but yeah, they are. It's openly admitted, if you read the fine print, that they are falsifying the information that Google Maps has about China. And so if you look at any of the Google Maps, they do that kind of stretching thing, and you don't even realize it. It looks just like everywhere else, but yeah, they do that little warping here, a little warping there, and so they falsify all the maps of China apparently for national security reasons.
Jeez,
So
geez.
if they're doing that in China, why wouldn't they do that anywhere else?
Yeah.
Yeah, again, you only find this out when you like read the fine print. Yeah. And so you can just look up like restrictions on geographic data in China, and yeah, there's a lot of information on the topic that is very much worth diving into, but it's just blatantly obvious just like how much we've been lied to on the matter. And so yeah, even if they're openly telling you, but they're kind of telling you in the fine print, because they do that all the time. Jaren was talking about that on GLOBEBUSTERS some time ago when they were talking about the aurora on Mars or Jupiter. I don't remember what it was. And he noticed how it was taking a copy and paste of Jupiter from like forever ago, and they're just kind of drawing these squiggly little lines on top and say, "Oh, look, we found the aurora on Jupiter." And if you read the fine print, they said they openly acknowledged that this was just a copy and paste job, and it's just like, yeah, that's not suspicious at all, right? Yeah, that was one of those classics that, yeah, I need to have a copy of that just laying around because it was, yeah, it's
GPS in
pretty
China. I have
potent.
to check that out.
Yeah. So these are kind of some of the gems in my pocket that I'm just kind of waiting to articulate more fully, I guess you could say. But I wanted to kind of hear your guys' input on that. And yeah,
Yeah,
there's just
I
so
bet we
much.
do that with our maps as well. I wouldn't
Uh,
doubt it. I'm
yeah,
sure so
yeah,
many places do. If you go into the fine print of all of them, I bet they all have that in there.
yeah. If they do that with China, what makes you think they don't do it anywhere else? Is
Oh,
what
I'm
I've
sure
got to
there's
say for
some
people.
military places that are all askewed. Like I'm sure that
Mhm.
you're
Yeah,
not gonna go. What about Area 51? I'm
Yeah, we'll
sure, you
copy and
know.
paste a mountain and put it right here. Cover up
yeah,
that place right there.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Antarctica is kind of one of those classic places. You start looking around on Google Maps about Antarctica, and you see all kinds of crap.
Yeah, it's just yeah. I don't use Google Maps for pretty much anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was
Well, that was awesome, Kyle.
yeah, I just wanted to share that with you, and yeah, kind of hear your thoughts on that, because this whole part about latitude is kind of a big deal when it comes to like how accurate it really is, and kind of what we can do to verify that. And so yeah,
Yeah,
because
that's one thing that's almost impossible is measuring those long distances like that because they're like going a perfectly straight line is not easy to do.
You know, Zach and I, not you, Zach, the other Zach, Dr.
Yeah,
Zach.
Dr. Zach.
We had,
Right. Yeah.
he had an idea that we started to do, but never finished. Where we didn't really have a name for it, but it was basically comparing real life to Google Earth to Google Maps, right? So
Mhm.
it was like finding a location, going to a location that you could see a couple of distances, right? Or, like landmarks, and then manually measuring the degree between them, right? With like a directional compass and all that stuff, and then going to Google Maps and measuring the angle that it tells you on the map,
Mhm.
right? And to see like how if you can measure any places where there's differences between when you go there in real life, you know.
Hmm.
So like if you'll look at something and like say if 0 degrees is like the north, right, and then 90 degrees is or 180 degrees is south, right? So somewhere in between there you'll say like, okay, there's a mountain over there, and that's at 20 something degrees, and this other high rise from the city over here is, whatever, 50 degrees, and then you go check it and see if it matches. We wouldn't have to have people do it all over, you know.
Yeah, in all
But
directions. Yeah.
it's like, see, stuff like this, it's like the video I did with manually measuring your magnetic declination. Anybody could do it, but most people won't. They're not going to take the time to do it. It's, they get a little bit, it gets, some people, they're just, it's a little over their head, even just, measuring degrees between places on the, the azimuth and all that. A lot of people don't want to do it, but it
Yeah.
could be done.
Uh-huh.
If you could find enough people to participate, it would be cool to do something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, I know that like this week I was watching a documentary and doing information on longitude and the longitudinal challenge and that, and it gave me a lot more questions that it answered, like some of the things we'll get into in a second when doing it. But what it did is in the early 1700s, and people sailing in that with the ships, they had latitude down pretty good with the sextant. And on their mapping and on their sailing did a good job with latitude, but they were often really, really far off longitudinally, and they wanted to solve it. So they put a big reward up and put up a challenge after a fleet of ships with like their star captain or whatever, I would guess your general or whatever, the big man of the fleet, the admiral of the fleet, went down with 4 out of 5 of the ships because they were off reckoning so far. So they had a challenge to do it, and they put it out on who could solve this. And it was the Royal Astronomers doing it. And one person that didn't belong to it, Barrow, he looked at solving it for the first time using time. And what he did was started developing clocks. And first of all, they're showing his wooden clocks that he did and how most of the clocks were like 4 minutes off a month, and his were off less than like a second a week or something crazy. But what I want to know is how could they measure time in the early 1700s to know that you're 4 seconds off a month? Or like, how would you know that? How would you be able to calibrate like the information they were giving? I'm like listening to that, and I'm first of all, I'm very, very amazed that these wooden clocks get that type of calibration and do that and be so close off. And then I'm like, well, what were they measuring against, or how would they know? And maybe they did know. Again, maybe they knew more than we do now, and I don't discount that at all. But he worked into the idea of working, with the clock and the things on board and moving it. And they didn't give him where they strung him along years and years until he was 80 years old, because he was not part of the Royal Astronomers. But he developed the first chronograph, like a wristwatch, pretty much what the Rolex was modeled off of, that you could use moving at sea and mark time against Greenwich time and mark where you were in time. By like where the sun was and calibrating it that way. And it worked extremely well. They didn't give him the prize until after he was 80 because they kept on saying, we need to test it. We need to test it. We need to test it, because he wasn't part of the group of scientists that they expected to award the prize to. He was just a tinkering guy that was measuring things using the chimney off of his neighbor's house for calibrations on where the stars, set into, doing very creative things like that and keeping logs. But finally, after he turned to 80, and Captain Cook used it on 5 voyages and said that it made such a difference. And the king was using it. And so they supposedly finally gave him the prize in his 80s, and he died a couple of years later.
Well, at least he got it while he was alive, I guess. Jeez.
Exactly. Or at least they acknowledged that he did this, or, made some contribution to things and time. And they show now that he has clocks that are running after 300 years, these wooden clocks. There's 2 working ones that are like little ones, and then clock towers that you have to also one that are still in use and still keeping time with wooden gears and working perfectly, like really good in time now. Like now they know what they're off, I guess, in the wood. But it's like back then they're like, well, they knew it was way better. It's like, how did they know it was way better? How well could they measure one thing against another? But it makes you wonder.
Very cool.
Yeah. So I've been looking at this John G. Abizade map from 1920. And it's really, really simple, but I really like this map a lot because of its simplicity, really. And
I can make sense of your map.
Yeah, it's really, really basic. And for 1920, it was a really instant go-to for, okay, well, how does the sun go around the Earth? You know what I mean? What is the basic overall shape of the Earth? Kind of what's it look like? How does it function? And so I like this one because of it's got the degrees of latitude on it, and it talks about kind of the movement of the sun, and it doesn't get into all of this other stuff about the shape of different continents and stuff like that. And so I like this one as just a really basic, simple model. And yeah, the globe earthers like to pick at it and say, that's not a model. I'm like, yes, that's a model. A model here is just a basic description of something, right? That's all a model is.
That model, when I can tell you what I think the model is, or what I see when I look at the model, is I see that as a map for sailors.
Mm-hmm.
And you write in the continents because you don't need the continents because you're not on land, you're on sea. But what's interesting about that, where it switches over east to west, and that where they write it, is if you do your magnetics and you do your declination on your compass, that tells you where your declination, where the compass switches over from going east to west, west to east. You can actually overlay it on our map, our magnetic maps, and get kind of a feel of what way your compass is going to go when you're out in the, are you going to have to adjust it to the left or the right?
Yeah. So the anti-flat earthers are always pointing, saying, you can't navigate with that map. I'm like, I could absolutely navigate with that map. What are you talking about? Like, if I'm at the North Pole and how do you get to the equator, right? This map totally tells me how to get to the equator from the North Pole. And I don't know. It's just, yeah, kind of bonkers. Where am I going to be if I travel, if I just decide to travel the sun, all the time? Like, yeah, it's going to tell me the direction of the sun. So you could absolutely navigate with this map. And so it's kind of one of the things I really look forward to talking about a little bit more is kind of the different kinds of ways people have navigated throughout history. And there's a textbook example that I really like, and that is if everyone's just sitting in a classroom and you have to tell them how to get from point A to point B in the classroom, just try to do that with differing limitations. And so you could have a compass and say, okay, try and navigate this person using a compass. Okay, now put the compass away. Can you still navigate across this classroom? Let's draw a map of the classroom. Okay, can you go in to point A to point B without a map? And yeah, and just different describing factors. And if you have like 5 different people describe different things, you could get from point A to point B by looking at the lights on the ceiling. That's one way to do it. And you can get from point A to point B by just describing the landmarks of what's around this other object. And that's another way to do it. And so, yeah, just kind of help people think outside the box. And that's the thing I really like about that kind of activity, because so many people have difficulty thinking outside the box.
Little boxes. We've been trained to stay inside of them our whole lives.
Yeah.
In our chat,
Not
we have
going
absolutely,
well.
yeah, we have absolutely junk in our chat that is having trouble thinking outside the box. Karen, if he has all kinds of questions. If you're going to look for an app or a place to go to answer all of the difficult questions in one place, what app would you go to? I'm putting Karen on the spot. She probably stepped away because I forgot the sun and moon part, the flat Earth zodiac. Exactly.
The flat Earth,
Yeah.
sun and moon, flat Earth,
Flat
sun,
Earth,
moon.
Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. Whoop-de-doo.
Whoop-de-doo by Blue Water Bay. Other channels too, but you can look up a lot of those things
Mm-hmm.
and go to the channels and get it. It's hard to get every question answered in a chat in how many characters they're allowed out back, because they are demanding questions. So absolutely, junk. I would suggest trying to listen instead of asking so many questions. Or again, these are things that we have answered
Yeah,
multiple times over the year.
multiple times. Do a little bit of research.
Multiple ways.
We all had to go do it.
So this is another big
Oh,
conundrum that I've been thinking a lot about
okay.
lately.
Well, we got to. This will be the last one, Kyle, and then we got to
Okay,
get
I
going.
promise.
because
Sorry.
I got to
Sorry,
get
I
up
just-
early, so we got to get the show.
All right.
Okay.
So we know equilateral triangles on every angle in the equilateral triangle is the same amount of distance. And so if we can find like 60 degrees between this on the globe and the sun, we should be able to totally debunk the claim that the sun is 93 million miles away on the globe. Just if we can form an equilateral triangle on different places on the, yeah. And I just thought that was just really basic. And it's like, how did people come to that conclusion that the sun is 93 million miles away on a globe? Like, yeah, they have to introduce Venus somehow and kind of bank it off of that. And
No,
yeah,
he used the moon.
using the moon and Venus. And I don't
Yeah,
know, there's all these
no,
other
it was
things they have
a
to
guy
include
named
in there.
Aristarchus
Yeah.
that used the moon to find the first distance, and he only had it at like I think 3,000 miles or something like that.
Yeah, and it's changed so much since then. So yeah, I don't know. It's like
Yeah.
from one thing after another. But okay, I'm all done with my little brain dump.
Alrighty. So on to sonoluminescence. This is a neat one, folks. This is one I've been wanting to try to recreate for a few years now, once I learned about it. There's just not, I mean, we have some of the things already, but some of the stuff, it's not like you can really use it for anything else. that I have found yet so far. So it's on the shelf. But sonoluminescence. So what is sonoluminescence? It is the production of light by small gas bubbles suspended in a liquid, which are undergoing periodic collapse caused by focused sound waves. The physical details for the transformation of sound waves into light are not understood and are currently the subject for research at VMI and at other universities. This is Virginia Military Institute. So they found out it was first noted in 1930 about light production by high frequency sound. And then it really didn't catch on too big until about 1989, it said.
And this is referring to the star in a jar kind of a situation, am I right?
Yes. Yeah, the star
So
in the
that's why
jar.
this is like super important when it comes to kind of understanding stars in general.
Yeah, so once they get it, that a single bubble, once they figured out how to do this and just keep a single bubble like right there in the middle, um, by using sound, a resonant sound wave, and then it causing it to collapse and emit a flash of light each cycle of the sound wave. Now it's a very small flash, and the sound wave, it says here 0.0000000000001 second. Now I don't know if I buy that completely, but yeah, it's a real fast pulse, but it happens, over and over and over again. And this actually, in my opinion, is what possibly the stars could be. I mean, if you go to the book, it says, and God spoke, let there be light. And there was light. Well, this right here is saying that by using frequencies, sound waves, you can create light in a liquid. That's pretty amazing. I mean, you go and you think, what is it? Who is it? Murphy's Law, is it? Is that the one? The simplest answer is usually the right one. Is that Murphy's Law?
Occam's razor. That's what you're thinking of, I think.
Is that it?
That's
Yeah,
Occam's
no,
razor.
that's Occam's razor. Murphy's
Okay.
Law is what can go wrong will go wrong.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, what can go wrong will go wrong eventually. Yeah.
But there definitely is a really interesting connection here between sound and light that not enough people are quite aware of. But I think
Oh, yeah, they're both
because of-
frequencies. I mean,
Yeah.
they're both EM, electromagnetic perturbations.
yeah, there's a vibration here, and that vibration is an excitement of something, of matter. They're both an excitement of matter.
Yeah, yeah. So I found some really cool demonstrations of sonoluminescence and where you could see this take place. Now, I don't think there's any like phenomena that happens without an interaction, kind of like the stars. Like something would be having to do that and create. Now we do have frequencies here all the time. I mean, the Earth is resonating at multiple frequencies. The Schumann resonance, which is 7.83 hertz, I believe, is just one of like 7 or 8 frequencies that are, very readable below 30 hertz. Below 30 hertz, there's so many different frequencies, like, and you are resonating at a frequency right around 5 hertz, 5.5 or something like that. I think. Don't hold me to that. It could be. It's been a while since I looked into the frequency charts, but everything has its own resonant frequency. We're all a form of this frequency, this vibration.
Isn't
It's
there like a
wild.
Nikola Tesla quote or something like that about if you really want to understand the world that we live in, study vibration and frequency, and I think there's a third one. I just don't remember what it was at this moment.
Energy,
Yeah.
frequency, vibration.
Yeah.
So here's a bullet going into water. This is pretty neat and super duper slow motion. Now, interesting. Yeah, yada, yada, yada. The bullets going in, you see it. And this isn't really the part. You see kind of an explosion, or no, that's probably the glass or whatever it went through. That's wild looking.
It looks like something that you'd like plastic, like a plastic bag that you've put a bunch of frosting in.
Yeah, yeah. So watch all these bubbles in here. Now they split through the water and look at this. Now the air has no place to go, so it's collapsing in on itself. Look at the light flashes.
Whew. Whoa. You wouldn't think about like the trail behind it exploding like that. That's
Yeah,
wild.
it's just all that
Whoa. Oh,
pressure.
whoa.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Look
It's
at
like
that.
where'd that explosion come from?
Because they're real small, and then that explosion happens, and yeah, they all get real big again.
Weird.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting, but that's
Like a little
sonoluminescence.
implosion there.
Mm-hmm. And then they just go through it a few more times in super duper. Yeah, just back and forth. That's just wild.
Yeah. When you shoot a bullet, you never think about it leaving a trail of little explosions all behind it.
Yeah, right? Like when you shoot down into the water, this is what would be taking place.
Yeah, that's
Bunch of
wild.
little explosions behind it. Yeah. We would never see it, not with our eyes. It's so fast how quickly it happens. But that's not the only place you can find this. There's actually a shrimp
So as
Oh,
called the mantis shrimp. Yeah. Now this is pretty wild. I'm not going to let this guy talk. He's talking about the star in the jar right here and sonoluminescence. He's going to show it. You see it get so big and then collapse in on itself. And then it vibrates a little bit and gets big again and then collapses in on itself, creates that big bright blue spark. So that's what that little thing in there is doing.
It's interesting how that one looks so much different than some of the other footage I've seen of where you get the stars that are a lot more kind of like in and out. I guess it's like the edges are much more like vibrating.
Well, yeah, I'm sure the different medium that you use, liquid probably has something to do with it, and I bet the what resonant frequency, because I think they said at 44 kilohertz is when it starts happening, and then you can go higher than that though.
Yeah.
So it could,
because I've seen some footage that just looks like really hand in hand. It's like this. Yeah, you look at stars and you look at that, and it's like, yeah, there's no doubt this is the same thing going on.
Yeah, yeah. Now this shrimp right here is so cool in so many different ways, but it has the hardest, or should I say fastest, but it moves its claw or its hammer that it has as fast as a 22 coming out of a rifle, a 22 bullet. It's the fastest moving animal in the animal kingdom. It's just little retract. It's got this little. So yeah, exactly.
That they've measured the speed of.
Yeah.
The fastest that they've measured.
And it also has some crazy eyes that, yeah, we could do a whole show on this critter right here. They're really neat. But yeah, here we go. You're gonna see this thing. Yeah, they're very aggressive. But watch as he hits this. Is this the lame one? No, here we go. Now he'll show it in slow. Look at this bubble right here. And then there's a little bit of light you can see in there, but it'll collapse in on itself. But these guys can create sonoluminescence because they're striking that and moving the water away from the thing they're hitting so fast that it has nowhere to go, and it creates that bubble and then collapses in on itself. And these also, this is called a pistol shrimp. It actually claps its wrist so fast that it shoots like a sonic boom out of its claw. and it's like a projectile of water almost. And they're saying how the outboard motors, sonoluminescence off the edges of these, collapsing back in on themselves. So yeah, there's all kinds of ways that it happens. It's not something that we as humans really get to see very well. I was thinking about that, when you take your hand and run it down into the water like real fast, does that ever happen? Do the bubbles ever, I mean, most of them rise up to the top, but you think any of them might collapse in on themselves? I don't know. I don't know if the force has to be really,
Or like from high
more.
divers.
Yeah, when they hit the water. And then this one, I wanted to play a part of it here. Or this one, I think the whole thing on this one. Yeah, this is just a neat little thesecretritual.com. Harness the creative energies of your mind. I don't know about all that. Well, yeah, we have creative energies. But it's only 3 minutes, 22 seconds. Just go ahead and let me stop it if you see something. And here we go.
It's a process called sonoluminescence.
The first time I saw sonoluminescence was in a darkened room. I was transfixed to look at this spherical flask of fluid. And you look into the center, and in the center see a glowing blue-purple light, which could be seen with the unaided eye. It looked like a star in the heavens.
It looked like a star in the heavens.
Yep.
Very telling right there.
I would almost like to do that and photograph that with a digital camera and see again if you get the cymatic effects or that from it.
Yeah, one of these days, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the star in the jar. We already have the frequency generator. There's
We've
just
got the P900 up close and personal.
Mhm.
Will do it.
Yep, one of these days.
Seth Putterman called it the star in a jar, a tiny spot of bright light contained in a flask of liquid. This star in a jar is made when a sound wave is passed through a small bubble inside a flask of liquid. And this sound wave makes the bubble do something remarkable. First it expands, then it collapses. And this collapse happens so violently that vapor molecules trapped inside the bubble slam together and heat up so much.
Supernova.
Gives off an incredible burst of heat and light. Several thousand times.
Supernova. Now, listen to this part. This, I think, is ridiculous. But I could be wrong. I don't know. I've never been to the sun to actually measure it with a thermometer. But listen to this part. Let me back it up just a hair. Where are we at? 136. Sorry, I stopped it at the wrong time here.
Burst of heat and light. Several thousand times a second. Giving the appearance of a star. What made the phenomenon so exciting was the temperature of this star in a jar. On its surface alone, the light burns at tens of thousands of degrees.
Tens of thousands of degrees.
But it doesn't
Allegedly.
heat up the water. But it doesn't heat up the water.
Yeah, that's what I don't get.
They're
And
hoping
how
the
did you-
chair's not
Static
exploding.
electricity for some reason, and thinking about how it doesn't take a whole lot to
Water's
create a
perfectly
spark of
How are
light.
they
Yeah.
measuring the heat?
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. How are they measuring any of that
They can
heat?
tell by the light the same way they do on the stars.
I was gonna
They're
say,
seeing
are they
the
just
color.
looking at how bright the light is?
Light
Because
is, it's how many Kelvin degrees, so it's,
What if it's cold? What if it's like not even a
like I
A
said,
hot
we're
light.
taught. Well, we are taught specifically to think of lights in a warm fashion, the way they teach us, and it's really again in nature. So much of it is cold lighting, other than fire. I mean, fire incandescent is unique, but the other animals and things flourish usually again.
Yeah,
with very
fire is
cold
an
light.
explosion, a combustion,
Mhm.
where this is
Right.
an implosion.
Mhm.
So I wonder. Let's see.
That would be interesting. Yep. That hot to say percent.
And Seth Butterman now contemplated a tantalizing possibility.
What is this chick
Could the
doing?
core of the collapsing bubble
Oh, she's breaking
be
the
even
glass.
hotter? Hot enough for fusion.
That doesn't
never
make sense.
I've never seen that done, but I believe that it works. That's one of those things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you can
Well, you've
feel
seen-
the vibration in your voice like pretty easily, and so it's just vibrating the glass, because that's what happens is it vibrates the glass to a point where it becomes unstable and then it breaks.
Yeah, you have to hit its resonant frequency.
Exactly. Just like again, the metal when you have the bass in your car and that. So it's all like pounding in and out. So
And they learned this
Yeah.
a long time ago. They might not have called it frequency, but they knew when marching and, soldiers over long distances, eventually you're going to come across a
a
bridge,
bridge.
and you don't march in unison across bridges. As soon as you start marching in unison, you start creating a frequency with everybody hitting all at the same time, and you can
And if it's in resonance in the bridge, you're
yeah, you can
screwed.
destroy that bridge. Men
they
walking
have.
across it can't. Yeah, they have. That's why once you get, up to the edge of the bridge, you no longer march in formation. You break formation and start walking normal. So you're not in that. You're not creating a resonant frequency of a large group. Yeah, it's crazy stuff, resonant frequencies and things like that. The rose is the closest plant to a human's resonant frequency, and they say thereby it is one of the most dangerous plants to be around you, just because its resonant frequency is too close to yours.
Really?
Wouldn't that be
Yeah.
like stabilizing?
I did
though?
never
don't
hear that
really get
before.
it.
I've never heard that before either.
No, like
I have
when
2 rose bushes and
I know we have one in the back. Yeah, but they say that
And
the
our
rose
roses
is
are
the
doing
closest
good.
to a human as
I
far
don't
as
see why that'd be
frequency wise.
dangerous though.
Well, if you put 2 resonant frequencies together, like Tesla put his thing on the building and started doing it at the same resonant frequency, he almost tore down the building. The building started vibrating and shaking
Right.
and almost fell down. So yeah, having 2 things at the same resonant frequency, by each other amplifies it. Amplifies the instability of it, I guess. It's weird.
No, I'm kind of thinking about that with the glass here, and about how
It's weird 'cause
just because the
Valentine's
glass
Day,
is
everybody gives
vibrating at the
roses.
same sound,
Mm-hmm.
it takes quite a
Whoa.
bit before it gets that unstable point. And so, yeah. So I'm not quite following you quite there yet.
Yeah, Ted says that's how the Tacoma Narrows Bridge fell. The wind created a frequency that rocked and ultimately collapsed it.
Yeah, they pay attention with again the landscape now and where they lay things. And again,
Yeah, we've
different
learned
things
a
with it.
lot with frequencies and stuff like that can destroy
And
just about
I
anything.
think with-
Tesla said he could split the earth in half.
Mhm. I think Tesla, the other word you're looking for, because I'd stepped down the hall for a second, but resonance, it was like wavelengths. Everything is frequency and resonance, and resonant again, where things
Yeah.
fall into the harmonics. You'll see your cymatics, you'll see your wavelengths.
Okay.
keep going because I'm thinking the
Through
gamut. So we'll get there.
Is to determine exactly how hot the interior of the bubble gets. In the sun, the interior can be millions of degrees, hot enough to cause fusion. And the thought crossed my mind that perhaps inside the collapsing bubble, the interior of the bubble might also get hot enough to cause fusion.
Again, we don't know what's going on in there.
If so, this would be something truly amazing. By simply bombarding tiny bubbles with sound waves, temperatures of over 10 million degrees would be created. And
Okay.
All right, now
Tens of millions.
over 10 million
degrees.
degrees that won't even heat up anything
Millions.
around us. We can have things get that hot and it won't even affect. We can look at it, pick up the jar. But we measured it. It's over 10 million degrees. That is just
Cuckoo.
science.
Cuckoo.
They imagined it was, though.
Mhm.
They imagined that the exact same thing going on inside of that was the exact same thing taking place inside the sun. Yeah, I'm not buying it. Sorry. They look pretty different to me. Just saying.
Yeah, that's another thing that's so weird. They tell you that that's just another inversion. They tell you the sun is a star. You don't see stars during the day. You see the sun during the day. You see stars at night, bro. What are you talking about?
And when you look at a star and blow it up, it really looks nothing like the sun. I mean, it doesn't.
No, not at all.
They don't look like little suns. They don't. They have their
Mm-mm.
own.
They just make the little cartoon ball and say, "Oh, it must be this big if we see it," and it, whatever. But
And all of
really,
these stars around too, and these like those other things out there. So why wouldn't we live on a globe? Those lights are all around. Of course we do.
So, folks, that is sonoluminescence. That is creating light by vibrating water with sound. Or I don't know if it has to be water or not. This is one of the reasons I want to test it.
just as a fluid, right? They just say
Yeah.
a liquid.
I want to do it
Yeah,
with
be
syrup,
interesting. Be interesting to see.
a real thick medium and see what happens.
It doesn't look like they have a complicated setup. They just have a little container, and then they put two. What do they put on the outside of it? Is it little speakers, and it just
I think so. I think that's the only part I really, really need.
And we
Next.
have a
Frequency generator. Yeah,
We
have
that
that
though.
one.
I mean, we have a really good one. So
Mm-hmm.
So you just need to attach it to a little speaker set.
mhm.
Yeah, I
And we
think
want
there's a
to do that,
special
do
kind of
cymatics and
speaker set,
everything.
I think.
Mhm. Mhm.
I don't know. I'll look into it more.
Seems like it'd be really easy to do.
Yeah, a
Looks
lot
easy.
of
They're
things.
making it look easy.
They do. Yeah, I think you could do the whole thing I think I priced it out, and that's not including the stuff we have. It was only like $430 or something like that for all the stuff.
$400 to do that. Wow.
I mean,
Yeah.
it looked like a person wearing a headset.
Yeah.
Like it just sitting right. I
Yeah,
wonder
I'm
if you
not
could just put it
sure.
on a headset on it.
I know. I need to
Probably
start
not.
testing. I need to start testing and playing and see what I can't figure out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah,
a
I
lot
want
of
to create a star in a
frequency
jar.
that I'd like to play with. Yeah, kind of not just the star in the jar here, but also kind of the whole frequency levitation. You've seen that before, where they play the sound and make different things levitate.
Mhm.
Oh, they can put little drops of water in there, and
Yeah,
they'll
yeah.
float at different
Mhm.
elevations and stuff. It's really neat.
Yeah, there's so
Mhm.
much when it comes to frequency that it's just like Tesla said. Yeah, you want to understand the world better. Those three things:
And the
energy,
cymatics are.
yeah, energy,
Okay,
frequency, and
bonus.
vibration. But frequency and vibration are kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of like the same thing again. But yeah,
Yeah.
maybe it's not.
Yeah, kinda. There's a
Well,
little bit of a difference, though.
You have they're related, but they're two different things.
Yeah. It's kind of like electricity and magnetism.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of hard to have one without the other, but
Well, the
they're
vibration you get
different
depending on the
things.
frequency and how resonant the harmonics are.
Right.
So
But the frequency, you can get the same resonance with multiple different frequencies. That's the neat part about it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's all about cycles and time and like hitting the thing hitting the wall at the same time, you know, over and over and over again. Like, yeah. We didn't bring up Bueller's Tube this time. We can do that another time when we do.
that's one that
Well,
I
that'll
do.
be,
That's an easy one to do. As
yeah,
far as
that'll be
making one, that's one I
resonance
want
and
to make.
frequency. Yeah.
Yeah, resonance and frequency, and that's one that again on the star and the jar, the different things. The tube is one that's a lot easier to make if we were going to make one. I bet Bill Wheel might if he's always been saying what do you want to make, and
A Bueller's Tube.
I want a Bueller's tube. It's a tube with holes in it
Mm-hmm.
that I
So you
can
fill
put a
with
speaker
gas
thing on the other.
and
Fill with gas,
light on fire.
light on fire.
Yeah, it's
Have you
pretty
seen
neat.
that, Kyle? Are you like wide-eyed and you don't know what it is, or you do know what it is? It's where you can play the music and see the sound because while you're playing the music,
Yeah, you'll
just
see the
natural
frequency of
pressure,
it.
Yeah. I've
the
seen.
flame goes up and down. Yeah,
Yeah, I've
it's really
seen that
neat.
on the
but
old time stereos and stuff like that. Sometimes.
seeing the wave function and that again to remember everything is really a wave, and a wave just being excited or interacted with in different ways in its reaction. So
Big shout out to Richard B.
Cheers, Richard.
Gifted 5 Globebuster membership. Thank you so much. Much love, Richard. Can't wait till you come back to the States. Can hang out. That was so cool. Meeting someone from Australia here in the US that came to, you know, not just some random person from Australia that you meet and say goodbye, but somebody that's actually there for an event that you're there and all that. Yeah, that's
Yep. And the Netherlands and Colombia
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
and
that
the
was
UK
awesome.
people. It was pretty awesome.
He says I'll be there. Awesome. So yeah, folks, sonoluminescence. That's, you know, I don't want to say puncturing a liquid. What would you say? Because I mean, it happens when vibrating a liquid,
it's
maybe.
light from sound. It's light from sound, just like it's a different way of getting light from sound. Just a different way of a different mechanism to pull light from sound.
I'm
Which
wondering
is
if there's like
just the
multiple sounds
perturbation
or
of
is it
the
just one sound? Because yeah, right now I'm kind of thinking about harmonizing. Like me and my brother were little, like we'd kind of get our voices at just the right pitch where like there's a weird feeling that just kind of comes over you when you hit that
resonance.
like the
Sweet
resonant
spot, the
feeling.
resonance.
Like
Resonance
the whole
frequency,
room
yeah.
resonates when you are able to match, you know, pitches like that. And so I kind of like wondering, does this have to do with like harmonizing with it that causes this to suddenly resonate? And is that what creates a spark, or is it there kind of like some kind of a conflict, like taking two
Discordance.
different pitches and
Yeah, they say they're
matching
not
it
sure
against each other?
why it does it. They
Yeah.
just know it does it, which is really interesting. They're still not 100% sure why the bubble even forms.
But they
They
know
just
how hot
know
it
that
is.
it does. Yeah.
And it's over 10,000 degrees.
Big shout out to
Nice.
Justin Johnson, member for
Mm.
6 months. Smash that like, fam, if you haven't. Thank you, Justin. Big supporter of the channel. Always appreciate it, brother.
Well, it is getting close. It's almost time to move back
Yep.
outside and have the microscope and everything back and set up the lab.
Yep.
We had somebody that brought over a crystal growing kit. We will have to look at it. It looks like it's going to grow a little bit, but the bases were the different shapes in a mold that you pour the liquid into, mold it into. So
Oh, did you guys
thank
start
Joe.
them?
No, we haven't started them yet. And I
Oh.
always have been wondering about some of the solutions we can grow on the slide into the microscope too, because we should be able to get some of that growing.
And we didn't do the bismuth Saturday, Karen. I
And
found
we didn't do
my
the bismuth
my
and,
chunk.
Oh, cool. I think I left mine over there, didn't I? I
Yeah,
brought it over
yeah, I
It might be
found
the
it.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's a
It
big
looks
old
like a
chunk of
little
bismuth.
disc.
Do you have two of them in your hand right now, or one, Zach?
That's
Are
just
you holding the
one.
two? Okay,
This is
yeah.
just one. It's a thick one though.
Oh yeah, that's a big one. That's way bigger than the piece I had. That's for sure.
Yeah, this was the rest that poured out of it. Then I still have some left in the bottom of that crucible, I guess you'd call it.
Crucible is the correct word.
It's a weird one. That one's for lead. That one's for making bullets. It's made out of aluminum, but bismuth melts. I think it's like half the temperature of aluminum, something like that. So I can put it on a hot plate. I don't even need a torch to heat that stuff up. It's pretty cool. But yeah, enough about bismuth. Sonoluminescence, folks. It does take place in nature, and it could possibly be what the stars are. I don't rule it out. In
Yeah.
fact, I lean that way myself. That the stars are created by frequency, and vibration. That's just what it is. Of maybe a liquid, maybe I don't know, some kind of super fluid. I don't know. Something's going on up there that makes light. No idea. No idea how far away or what's causing it. I
Yeah.
call it the creator or Yah, Jehovah, whatever. Whatever you call them, it's cool. Or
Well, it's just a fun one because in the beginning was the word, and the word is the sound, and the sound again interactions of different vibrations, interacting with different things create again things like sonoluminescence, your geometry, your cymatics, where you see all of your sacred geometry and resonance shapes, and you see so much in that in the sound again, and your resonant frequencies I think come together in your crystallization and that too. I think that's part of your recipe that you're looking at. Be it the human resonance or whatever
And I think
else, and
pressure has something to do with it too for
of
some
course it
reason.
does. And temperature always. Temperature always.
Like Star in the Jar, the only reason it's not liquid up there is because the pressure is so low. But there's still the liquid there. Does that make sense? Like you take all the pressure out of a beaker and there's water in there. They say it turns to gas or whatever, but I don't know. So many
I'm not ready
different
to go there yet. I'm
variables
wrapping
and
up at
yeah.
different variables. Sometimes you can get lost in
Good things to
things.
think about.
All righty, folks. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this week's show. GLOBEBUSTERS Tech, Sonoluminescence. Catch us most Thursdays. We did take last Thursday off. Had a couple people feeling under the weather. Sorry about that. But yeah, Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. We will be here. Check out the show Sundays, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific time. That'll be on Sundays. That's the regular GLOBEBUSTER show. Those are fun as well. And Kyle, what do you got going on this week, man?
Well, you've seen a lot of my cutting room floor, so I'm going to try and polish some of that up, and I'll see what I can get out there. I've got so much content. It's just a matter of, getting it out.
Awesome, man. Well, keep it up. Check if you are subscribed to Kyle and you don't see a video within, a couple days, go check to see if you're still subscribed. I know they just unsubscribed me from Karen's channel again.
Yeah, it's almost
How many other
the war
people
is real.
So
Karen, you might if you're subscribed to Karen B's channel, you might as well type it in, find it, and subscribe again because they are on a mission. Just assume you're not subscribed.
I get a lot of messages like that. I'm so tired of it. I'm like, oh God.
Gotta love it.
No.
So where can we find you at this week, Karen?
The usual spots.
Solar Scripture on Saturday at 11:11-ish. Usually you guys are pretty good at that, unless Jack is slacking.
Yeah, around 11:11. Yeah,
That'll be tomorrow. Yeah, Scripture study. Anti-religious.
Anti-religious
scripture study. Yes.
Just
and that tomorrow. Pump over one more day. Make it over Saturday.
Saturday.
So
It's Saturday.
Oh yeah, tomorrow's Friday. Tomorrow.
Yes, it is.
are the possible coffee talks, depending on how she's feeling.
Yeah.
The
I
Friday
don't
day.
know, because Ted, I might
It's
help
nice out.
Ted. I don't know. We'll see.
It's getting to be that time where getting out early and yeah, I
Yeah.
can't wait. Garden
If it's
season.
as nice out
coming.
tomorrow as it was today, it was a beautiful day today. You feel things are bedding, you feel spring coming, and that makes me really happy.
Yeah, I think I saw some grass starting to grow. It's like, oh, is that
Mhm.
grass?
Yay, it's coming.
I know, but then, if you look in the forecast, there's still some below freezing nights coming up, so
Yeah. Yeah, don't get too excited. Don't go planting your peppers or tomatoes or anything like that yet. You'll get
no.
burned.
Mm-mm.
And Cammy, are you going to be joining the IRM crew tomorrow?
If I feel
Have no
better
spare.
and yeah, if I'm feeling up to it, I think I will try to join in tomorrow.
Okay, good. The guys are
And
missing you
hopefully
over there.
I'm just again it's
Maybe
just
we
taking
can
some
geek
time trying
out.
to rejuvenate. Yeah. Geeking out would be good. I need to geek out more.
Crystals or rocks or something. We can just, yeah,
Ooh.
yes. Open the lines and see what happens. All right, folks. And you can find me over at, of course, here and Sunday on the GLOBEBUSTERS channel. And I do a show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning at freeworld.fm. Billy Ray Valentine started his own internet radio website that is pretty much talk. We have the rights to play pretty much whatever music we want. It's awesome. And we do it's me, Walt Johnson, and Josh Corey, and we all like a lot of the same music, but we all have way different genres that we go down. So you hear everything. I'm hearing all these songs I've never heard before. It's cool. But we have a lot of fun over there. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning, 5 a.m. Eastern. Got a lot more Europeaners that are hanging out, I've noticed. But there are some early birds that hang out with us here from the States as well.
They're
It's a
not
fun
early
show.
birds are on the West Coast. they're up
No, I
late.
got Michiganers and yeah, there's some East Coasters that are up. And Karen will be in there every once in a while. Yeah, it's good
I am.
time.
I consider when I wake up, when I'm in there, I consider waking up in the middle of the night, joining in, and then going back to sleep. I don't.
Well, yeah, because you go
being
back to
up.
bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
That's
stay
so
up. But all right, folks, that'll be it for tonight's show. Thank you all so much for joining us. Come back again next week as we will be here. I'm not sure what it was going to be. Were we going to do, what was it, Cam?
We had several different ones on the topic. We'll discuss it.
Yeah, we'll
Maybe
discuss it.
we'll be inspired. Maybe tomorrow night Karen will join us with rocks. We just never know. Maybe not. But she's been doing so many shows lately. But Rock Talk is fun, and there's some neat North Carolina areas that we want to get to and talk about going. Yes,
I want the weather to get nice so we can go on adventures.
That's what I really want is the rock adventure. So yeah,
and Cammy can get around. It's so different seeing her walk now, Karen. Just from yesterday to today.
Nice.
Like something popped in there and she's just like, bam! She looks like a superhero walking around now.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, all right, folks, that'll be it. Thank you so much. I hope you had fun. I did. I always learn something at one of these shows. You guys always teach me something new I've never seen or heard before, or just bring something up. I love these. I'm having fun with them. So remember, be good to each other. Don't lie to each other. Open your mind because there's truth inside. Peace out, everyone.
Peace.
And war.
Peace.